Hey guys, hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my first Paint With Me video. Yeah, so it's just a quick time-lapse video of me drawing three separate backgrounds, and it's been a minute, right? It's been a couple weeks. I've definitely been busy with work. Work has been kicking my butt, but I've tried to stay creating artwork. So this is just one of the art studies I did. Now, backgrounds are not my strong suit. I've been trying to practice. And so the reference for these backgrounds was actually from a church retreat I went to about a month and a half ago, I want to say. And so I just love the colors, the greenery, the landscape. So I thought I would try and capture that. Now, I have been following the whole Instagram Meta AI situation. And so, for those of you that don't know, Instagram announced that on June 26th, they will allow Meta, which is part of Facebook Incorporated, to use AI technology to steal from and learn from artists' artwork that's being posted online. So, that's called AI scraping, to generate its own artwork. So, of course, that has a lot of artists scared because not only do they not get compensated for this, there are no copyright laws necessarily that protect them from this happening. And depending on the country you're in, it's hard for you to opt out from AI to do this, to learn or AI scrape from your artwork. So having to deal with that honestly is why I haven't been posting on Instagram lately, and just considering my options. And it is quite unfortunate because now artists are having to find different ways of posting their artwork online without fear of it being stolen and replicated by AI technology. And so there is a fairly new app called Cara, that's Cara, for those that don't know. And it was launched by a Chinese photographer called Jinga Zhang. I hope I'm saying her name right. I probably butchered it. But she founded it back in December 2022, and it launched for open public testing January 2023. And so a lot of artists have left Instagram and transitioned onto the Cara app. I believe online they mentioned roughly users jumped from 40,000 to 650,000 within a week. So a lot of artists are going through what I would call the great art exodus from Instagram. And so I've been wrestling with that with my artwork. Do I want to stay on Instagram? Now, I currently do use Instagram. I don't post as much as I should. I would say I started posting some more, then I stopped, and now this great exodus has me thinking, should I continue or should I also transition to Cara? So right now I'm just creating art and just, thinking about it. I'm not quite posting yet. And so that June 26th deadline is definitely steadily approaching. I have been on Cara and I've seen what it can do, and it is a lot like Instagram. But I know the fears is as time passes on, since it's such a artist-driven app, how do we get our artwork out there for non-artists? Now, we know art directors and those in the industry would know to use that, but for people outside that industry, how do they get access to see our artwork? So those are all kinks that Cara will definitely have to work out. And of course, for those of us that want to stay on Instagram, how do we go about posting our artwork now? There is a software called Glaze, and I believe it was developed by some IT folks at the University of Chicago, and it allows or it prevents AI from scraping or stealing from artists online. Somehow it's coded in a way where AI runs into some type of error when it tries to learn from or steal from artists online. So it's a good protective mechanism for artists who do want to post online still. I've never used it. I've heard good things about it, and The car app, I believe, does use the glaze application. But I do know, since so many people have flooded over there, there are probably running into some IT issues. So I definitely have to keep that in mind. Do I want to go on an app that is now flooded, run into some IT issues, probably crash a few times? Should I trust it? Should I wait? Or should I stay on Instagram? So these are all the things I've definitely been considering. And I know a few of you artists out there have been as well. Please feel free to post in the comments below how my fellow artists, please feel free to comment how you all are dealing with this, because I am stressed. I am stressed. I don't know how to take it, but I guess one day at a time. And I have been praying about it. Faith is a big part of my creative process. So yeah, keep fighting a good fight, guys. Keep fighting a good fight. I'll say the next thing that's been on my mind is how to balance work and art. So I do not currently work in the art sector, and just finding time when I get home from work to not only rest, because I do 10-hour shifts and they can get long and hard. Some days can be harder than others, and just protecting creation time, I would say, is the hardest for me. Because, when I get home, all I want to do is just jump straight in my bed. But how do I keep that discipline? And there are a few artists on here on YouTube who have talked about this very issue, how they carve out time to sit and create. And I know my biggest issue is having an idea, wanting to execute it, but not having the energy. Or having an idea and then I'm not fully fleshing it out, and then just running out of my creative juices. And I know art block is real. It does happen. I've encountered it a few times. And just working through that is tough, but I've decided I need to find ways to mitigate this. So one tip I will give is I now have a art dump book. It's just like a small handy dandy notebook, and I just write all my ideas. I literally dump all the ideas I have as they come, and I keep it with me at work. I keep it everywhere I go, and it helps me keep track of my ideas, so I can't think back like later and say, oh no, what was the idea I had, because it would quickly leave my brain. So just having that on me is sort of a security blanket, to where if I forget something or I want to flesh out an idea, I can just go back to the notebook. And it helps with art block, because when I'm inspired in that moment, if I've recorded it or written it down, and if I forget it, I can always go back to it. So I definitely recommend artists out there who are dealing with this just to keep a small notebook on you, and just for you to dump ideas. And even for YouTube videos, I'll write out, what my next YouTube video could be, or if I see something while I'm out and about that's inspired me, or if I go to a movie or watch a play, I will just quickly get it out and, jot some ideas down. I probably look like a crazy lady. I think about it, just writing in my notebook. But yeah, I have that kind of brain that just forgets very easily, and I must write this down. So that's one advice I have for artists out there. Another thing is carving out time. Ugh, so hard. And adulting is hard. I knew this, but it's more so hard now because I'm trying to transition. So I can only imagine people who have kids. How do you artists do it out there who have children? Please let us know your tips and tricks. And so I know what I do what I've been trying to do over the past few weeks is I'll set a schedule for myself. So if I know the day before I'm going to have a long day, because usually project days at work are one of my longest, hardest days, I will set time aside to come home and nap. I would say roughly 5 hours of sleep and I'm pretty good. But after I've napped, I get up, drink some coffee, and just get into creation mode. Now, getting up, baby, that's the hard part. Getting up is so hard because you just want to sleep all day. But then I just think of what would happen if I don't chase my dreams now. Life is so short. Time is fleeting. It's a resource that we can never get back. Once we lose it, we lose it. And so I just start thinking like that. I don't know if it's healthy, but I just start thinking about all the time I would lose. And that usually does the trick. Not all the time, but it usually does the trick. And I usually snap back up and just start creating. Now, I would say create an environment that allows you to create. I don't know, that sounds kind of redundant, doesn't it? But basically, your art setup, where you're creating art, what does it look like? Is it jumbled? Is it clean? Make sure it's organized. Try to clean it the day before. I know I have a bad habit when I finish painting just to get up and walk away, but no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Try to make sure your station is clean, your paints are organized, your paintbrushes are clean, wash them right away, put them in the corner. Make sure you have a comfortable chair, a heater, some snacks on the side. I like to have the whole setup. And usually I'm either watching a movie or Netflix series or listening to some music. I usually have that on the side. But just make sure your art setup is conducive to your creative process. Try to eliminate any distractions. If you have kids, that can be really tough. Try to make sure you put them down for sleep or a nap right before you start. Hopefully, if you have a spouse, they can help you with that. But I know as a single child-free person, I just have to be more disciplined about creating the space and the time. Another thing I've been thinking a lot about recently is my YouTube channel. So now I did create the channel back in 2022, but I started posting this year. I did post my introductory video, so for those who have not seen, I do have my first artist introductory video I posted about a month ago. Please go watch, like, and subscribe. And I just basically do a quick introduction. And so I've been thinking, where do I want to take my channel? What direction do I want it to go in? I do know I'm interested in the animation space. I have been looking at the 12 principles of animation, the squash, the stress, anticipation, and all that. Now, I've just started out, so I'm not quite good. Honestly, I don't want to post any of those videos, but I do have some anatomy practices I've been doing recently, and I have seen an improvement in my artwork, but I don't know if I want to post those yet. But I do know I have to get over my fear and just do it, right? Just bite the bullet and do it. And so I've been thinking, where do I want to take the channel? Another thing I think about a lot with the channel is, do I want to post vlog videos? I know a lot of artists on YouTube have been posting those, but honestly, guys, I don't think I'm a good vlogger. I do like to record videos now and then, but I don't know if I see myself recording that often when I'm outside. I just don't like the strange looks. It's just awkward. There are times I go out, I even forget to set up, because a lot of vlogging is setting up shots, walking past, looking at the lighting and all those things, and I don't know if I have the knack for that, but we'll see. I might try one and see how it goes, but I'm definitely not the person to record every second of my life. I like to enjoy life. That sounds, I don't know, I sound like a boomer when I say that, but it's the truth. I didn't grow up with technology, so constantly having a phone in my hand recording is just not my thing. It's just not my thing. There are times I will go out to like an event, a concert, or just a place that I really love, and I will even forget to take pictures because I'm so into the moment that I do not record. So I know being a vlogger, I can't do that. I literally have to think of shots, how I want to set up, and then it's like your hair, your makeup, you have to look a certain way, and it's just like, all the things. It's just more pressure for me. So I don't know if I would be doing vlogs. I do like the paint with me setup, like this one. It's soothing to me, and I like watching back my recordings just so I can see where I can improve, places I've messed up, and things like that. So I do think I'll do more of those. I don't know if I'll do teaching videos because honestly, doing art and teaching art are two different things. And so I do like to teach, but I don't know if I have enough knowledge to teach art on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. I may be thinking too hard into this, but honestly, when I think of an art teacher, I think of an artist that has been doing art professionally for years. I'm not a professional artist. I am self-taught all the way. I've taken classes here and there, but there's no way I'm on the level of those guys. I know it sounds like negative talk. It probably is, but I just don't feel confident enough to do full-on videos, training videos. Let's just put it like that. I may post one or two of how I approach things, but yeah. So that's another idea for the channel. I'm still thinking about. I'm still trying to flesh out. So we'll see where it goes. And so earlier I mentioned how I try and keep my creative juices flowing. So that has been interesting. I will say, I do know for me, my art blocks come when I don't create for like a good period of time. I don't know if other artists are that way, but when I stop creating, sometimes I just feel like I don't know what the word is, but I just go back to not having any ideas. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I know some people get art block as they're creating, or some people get in the middle of creating artwork, but mine comes when I stop. So it's how do I keep that momentum going? I do have my notebook that I jot ideas down in, but now I've made a habit of carrying around a small sketchbook. So maybe I'll do a video on how I approach this. Maybe it'll be part of my creative art process. But I do have a small sketchbook I carry with me, and there are times I don't feel like drawing because as artists we do run into that. We just don't feel like creating art because it does take energy. But the crazy thing is, once you start, you do not want to stop. Honestly, I can start creating artwork, like let's say at 3 p.m. and go for 8 hours straight and not stop. And that's actually happened to me. And so I remember that night I started at literally 8 p.m. at night and I had work the next day. Silly me. And I looked up and the sun was out and it was 4 a.m. And I had to go to work at 7 a.m. So it's just weird because I know I have to get in that mode. Once I get in that mode, I can stay there for hours. But getting there and staying there usually is the issue. So carrying around my small sketchbook, it's like a doodle book really. I just start doodling people around me, scenery. So I know I went to the museum I want to say about a month ago, and I went to the cute cafe here in Houston, and so I just drew some people, but I usually take it with me to church. Now, not during church, of course, but during social sessions with friends, family members, or even just out and about. If I go to the park or something like that, I'll just whip out the sketchbook and just start drawing and doodling. And it does keep me sharp as an artist because it is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you will lose it. And so just constantly staying in that creative mode is tough. And I have heard a few professional artists do mention that for those that freelance, or if they're working for a major company now, those guys we know are always drawing. But for those that create their own and sell their own artwork, they have to constantly push themselves And so that's one thing I have to consider if I do decide to go full time as an artist. Can I sustain myself in that way? Can I push myself to constantly create and not fall out of touch? But then also give myself grace when I do. Because I know I can be very hard on myself when I haven't created in a couple days. And just falling back in that mode can be tough. I will say it's tough. So I know my fellow artists out there, some, well, I would say all of us. I think all of us go through that at some point, struggling to keep the juices going. But outside of my small sketchbook, I do have, I call it the ugly art book, ugly sketchbook, I will say. So I have three kinds of sketchbooks. I have a nice, pretty one where I fully flesh out my ideas. I paint nicely, like this. This was in my nice sketchbook. And then I have my ugly sketchbook where I just create ugly art with no pressure. Because before, I would just be so hard on myself. Every now and then, I'm hard on myself, but once it's an ugly sketchbook, I just accept it. It's gonna be ugly, and then there's no rush here. And then I have my smaller sketchbook that I take with me when I'm outside, and that one can have ugly and nice art. It's depending on the day. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I surprise myself, and then sometimes I look at them like, "Ooh, what did you draw in there, girl? That does not look good." But I am learning as I grow on this art journey not to be too hard on myself and to trust the process. Trust the process for real. I struggle with that a lot in the beginning stages of artwork. I'm like, oh, that's not going to turn out right. And sometimes it does. And I'm like, well, would you look at that? So that has been interesting to fight through. But I will say it has made me more patient with myself and not so hard. Because I feel as artists sometimes we try and we have an idea in our head of what we want our artwork to look like, and we want to improve so badly and so quickly, but in chasing that, sometimes we can be too hard just too hard on ourselves. And so being patient and really understanding your mistakes and how you can learn from them, I think that's the more productive way to go. Because time is finite and we are finite, so focusing on that, the mistakes and how we can learn helps. And this is the last thing I've been wrestling with, is just finding other artists to share and learn from. I do follow quite a few artists online, but I'm not in direct communication with them. So it's just finding artists online that I can connect with and share different ideas or learn from. I do know I went to the animation convention, Lightbox Expo, that was back last year, I believe around November. Bobby Chewy led that one. I hope I'm saying his name right. Forgive me, Bobby. But yeah, just connecting with different artists. I met a few cool people then. And so I've been following them on Instagram, and just keeping in touch every once in a while helps a lot. It can get quite intimidating if I find artists that are way better than me. Highly developed artists. It can get intimidating. So I try to stay within my realm. I know that sounds so bad, but I don't mean it to be. It's just finding artists that are definitely better than me, but that I can relate to and talk with has helped a lot. I definitely recommend artists, especially artists that are starting out, that are young, that are trying to grow. Just get a community of artists around you that you can bounce ideas off of, you can share your struggles with, and they can even give you tips and tricks that they learned and help them get through something, whether it's with anatomy or learning how to animate, squash and stretch, anticipation, and all the things. And in addition to that, of course, taking online classes has helped hone my skills. I've taken a few online, and I really wanted to go a couple more. But yeah, I'm done. As you see, I'm ripping off the borders. I believed I used the art masking fluid, the one from the Winsor & Newton. It's pretty helpful in protecting the borders, but I did quite get some that came off, but I just went in and fixed those areas. Again, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you in my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next YouTube video. Thank you. Bye.